Right, here we go, man. We got last month's promotion board questions coming up to you. So I wrote down a few of my questions that I asked, and I tried to jot down a couple of the questions from my battle buddies to my left and to my right. This is not all the questions that were asked, but just a collection of them. And I'll let you know up front that our board, we ask all situational questions for all of our subject areas. So really, at the end of the day, if you think about a situational question, it is really just a normal question wrapped up into a story. So don't get like all wrapped around the axle. If you think you're starting to get twisted, it's actually easier, I think. And along the way, I'll give you some other tips and tricks on how to answer these things to the best of your ability. So you have a new soldier who arrives, or you have a new soldier who's reporting to you, and you've just been assigned their sponsor. Walk us through the process of this responsibility, right? And so this is kind of a hopefully an easy one for y'all. And by all means, man, if you've got some questions, you got some subject areas, whatever it is, leave them down in the comments below. You got something to add, please. Keep this conversation rolling. I mean, come on, what are we doing? So you got to be sponsors. What are you going to do? So I'm going to say obviously, but it's not obvious to all. It was not obvious to all the folks who came in the other day. So you got to go in and fill out part 3 of the 5434. The reason that's important is for them to be able to get their orders cut. So you reach out to them, right? Hopefully there's a phone number, there's an email. And so you reach out to them. If you can't get out to them, there is a first sergeant CSM, and you can always reach out to and commander information that you can find. You can find people in global. Sometimes all you can do is send out an email, but I wouldn't get caught in that kind of a rabbit hole with some kind of an answer, right? Hey, first sergeant, I'm gonna go online to ACT and I'm gonna fill out the part 3 of the 5434. I'm gonna take that phone number. I'm gonna call the service member. And I'm going to have a conversation with them. I'm going to let them know what they can expect from the area, from the organization, from the installation. And I want to see if they have any needs, right? Are they single? Are they married? Do they have any children? Are the children EF&P? Are they school age? I want to try to plug them into the right place to find housing, both on post and off post, and let them know how both of those work here in the area. And see if they have any other needs. Are they good for transportation? Are they good for, especially if they are moving, are they good for their household goods pickup and everything? See, do they have anything that they need? Does their wife or husband or kids have any issues or concerns or questions that they'd like to get addressed? And once they come on ground, I'm going to keep talking to them along the way. And once they come on ground, I'll meet them over at reception. And make sure we get signed in and plugged in and do a face-to-face, bring them by to the unit so they can see where we're at. So that day one's not so nervous trying to find the building. I'm going to walk them through in processing with the battalion, with the unit. And if I'm their NCO, I'm going to counsel them and I'm going to give them that integration counseling. Something like that would have been fine. That's not what we got. Most of them didn't do bad, but they kind of got stuck on, I'm going to do the 5434. So you're out in the field and you ran out of water. Name me some ways that you can purify some water from this creek that's running behind you. Probably never been asked that question. So you do have a couple different ways to purify water, right? You can boil it, or you can use iodine tablets. There are other commercial filters that take it down to such a small micron, you're in a sense purifying it. But those are your two biggest options. And that subject area was field sanitation, by the way, if you couldn't guess. You have a soldier who's been showing up FTR past couple of weeks. You've counseled them. You've given some corrective training, some plans of action that they've come up with that you all have agreed on. It hasn't worked. And they show up late again. And you want to forward this counseling to the commander for action. What can your company commander do? Now, this one kind of tripped up a few folks. So the company commander could give a summarize Article 15. They could give a company grade Article 15. They could just do a counseling or letter concern themselves, right? So follow-up question, right? They're doing a company grade Article 15. What are your recommendations for this service member? Right? The company commander looks at you and says, what do you want to do about Schmuckatelli? You want to give him restriction? You want to make him do some extra duty? You want to take some pay? You want to take some rank? You want to give an oral reprimand? What? What I would suggest to you is, if in this kind of a question, and odds are you're going to be asked this like in real life, take all of the facts that you know about the case and what you know about the soldier into account, right? If the service member lives off post and is a single parent, do you really need to restrict them to post? No. I mean, let's not be stupid about this. But whatever you say, just make it reasonable. So next question, you have a soldier who's asking you about this music that we hear during the morning and the afternoon or the evening. What can you tell him? Just talking about customs and courtesies, right? Talking about retreat and reveille. Reveille, by the way, is roughly 30 seconds. Retreat is roughly 20-ish seconds. And you could talk about the history and lineage of bugle horns that we've used throughout the military, throughout our history, to communicate. You can talk about flag going up. You can talk about flag going down. All right, so you're taping a soldier. What are the landmark sites for a male and a female? And this question was asked for a female soldier if the board attendee was a male, and then vice versa. Look, don't get all wrapped around the axle on landmark sites. What's the landmark sites for the male? First sergeant. The measurement sites and locations for a male soldier is the neck and the waist. How about for the female? First sergeant. The female landmark sites for measuring for our Army body composition program is the neck, waist, and the hips. Boom. You don't have to get into all like crazy things. If somebody starts asking you for more details, then go ahead and divulge it. But sometimes you need to get in and you need to get out. How to teach major terrain features. What are they? How do you teach them? Soldier wants to know. You'd use an acronym like Hidden Valley Saddle Ranch Dressing. You could use your fist, right? Hills, valleys, saddle, ridge, depression. You can do all your major and minor on your fist, right? So what are some different ways to stop bleeding? Was the actual question. I think the lead in, and this is where, situational questions aren't that much different from a normal question, right? So the straight up question is, what are the ways to stop bleeding? I think the question was posed like, your battle buddy, he got a gunshot and wounded on his left leg. What are you going to do, right? So, of course, you could talk about things like apply a pressure dressing, packing the wound, tourniquet, lifting the limb, elevating the limb, simple pressure. If a soldier says that they were sexually assaulted, what are your actions? Right? People got lost on this one a little bit because they, in some ways, were too quick to act. So I think, if you put yourself into just a real life scenario where a teammate says, hey, man, I don't know how to say this, but last night this bad thing happened. And you start having this conversation, and they divulged to you that they were sexually assaulted. Right? A teammate was raped. I doubt the very first thing you're going to do is go run off to CID, or you're going to be present with that soldier, right? You're going to be present with them. And being present, man, it's huge. Because you can't fix the situation. If you say something dumb like, well, I'm going to ask the soldier how they are. Well, they just told you they got sexually assaulted. How the hell would you feel? I want to make sure they're okay. They're not okay. They just got sexually assaulted, right? So I'm going to be present. I'm going to let them know that they're not walking alone in this process. I'm going to talk to them about some options as far as where we go from here when we leave the space that we're at right now. So I may recommend, that we go to the hospital. So I know it could be intrusive, but a safe kit can help ensure that in the future, if there's any evidence, it can be used in a court of law. I'm going to let them know that they can also file a complaint at the hospital. And if they don't feel comfortable with that, I could always, we can go talk to the chaplain who can't file a report, but can offer some guidance and counsel. I'm going to say, we could go to CID if that's what you want to do. We could go to the chain of command if that's what you want to do. But just know that, when we go, you may be limited to filing a unrestricted report because of the conversations that we just had. And depending on what your relationship with that person is, will dictate that. And the benefit of a unrestricted report is that perpetrator, and really the only difference between restricted and unrestricted, is the perpetrator can be held accountable in an unrestricted report. All other benefits, all medical treatment, all that stuff is equally the same for the victim. So you have a what the hell? I can't read my handwriting. I got it. The question at the end of the day was, what are the commands to put a formation into the extended rectangular formation? Everybody jacked this up. Like, sometimes we say things so often that we say them wrong, and so we don't know how to do it properly. So, fall in, extend to the left, march, arms downward, move, left face, extend to the left, march, arms downward, move, right face, from front to rear, count off, even numbers to the left, uncover. If you don't give the commands like march, or if you say things like one step to the left, you're wrong. And you can't be right if you're wrong. You have a service member who says that, or maybe even you over here, somebody using a racial slur towards another soldier. What are your actions? So, obviously, again, we're talking about 600-20, just a different chapter. And so you, again, talk to this, hey, this kind of crap is not tolerated in my army, in my organization, on my installation, in my building, in my motor pool, whatever it is, right? Take some dadgum ownership of who you are and where you're at. So you could use a direct approach to try to resolve the situation. After you do get this thing de-escalated and get people separated, start talking to the person that had received those remarks and say, just handle the situation. What do you want to do? Would you like to file a report? If so, here's your EOL and here's your EOA by name. Same thing with the sharp stuff, right? Because those are follow-up questions. Like, I'm going to take them to the SARC. I'm going to take them to the VA. Well, who is, right? So here's your EOL. Here's your EOA. These are some different ways forward. Not telling you that you have to go talk to them, but There's some other ways. We just use basically I was just a third party, right? But we can go talk to the chain of command if you'd like. You can talk to that soldier, and I'll make them listen to you. So whatever you want to do in the situation. Because I feel that at the end of the day that maybe I've resolved it, and we're going to stop talking. Hey, man, that's like 15 minutes of just a few questions from a board. So you can imagine, because we just answered, kind of some of these questions with just a few tips. That you need to be prepared to be in a board, for 15, 20, 30 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes. The more people there are outside, probably the shorter the board. So I appreciate all you guys, man. Again, leave me some comments down below. Keep the conversation rolling. Until then, keep grinding and you stay stoked.